AITA for not wearing the wedding dress my stepsister handmade for me. Poo mode activated. I 25F got married 2 weeks ago. My now husband 27M and I paid for most of the wedding, but my father covered a few costs for us. My father's girlfriend Stella has a daughter, Zoe 21F, who is finishing her degree in fashion. She wants to get into the wedding dress industry once she graduates. When I started planning my wedding, she offered to design and make my dress. I was hesitant at first, as I'd been excited about picking out my own dress. I agreed because I didn't know Zoe well. My father had only been dating her mother for 2 years, and I thought this could be a nice opportunity to bond. Also, I'd seen some of her work. She'd made a couple ball gowns in college, and she seemed honestly good. We met up a few times to discuss our ideas. During those, I realized our styles were drastically different, but we still managed to agree on a design. I gave Zoe my measurements and asked her to update me. She didn't. Whenever I asked her how she was doing, she'd say she would send me progress pictures when she got home. She never did. It took her longer than expected to finish it, and I didn't get the dress until a month before my wedding. It looked nothing like the design we'd agreed on. It was the wrong color, the wrong style, everything. It looked exactly like the type of dress Zoe would want to wear, but I knew I'd never wear anything like it. I really did not like that dress. When I tried it on, I found out it was also about 3 sizes too big. Though I knew I could probably have it altered, I truly did not want to wear that dress on my wedding day. I called Zoe and told her I wouldn't wear the dress. I said it looked lovely, but not the style we'd agreed on, and I thought it would be best for me to find a different dress. I offered to pay her for her work. She'd made the dress for free, but she declined and hung up on me. I went to a retail bridal store with my maid of honor, and we found a beautiful gown that didn't need much altering. It looked exactly like what I wanted. Fast forward to my wedding, I walked down the aisle in the dress I bought. Zoe seemed to be on the verge of tears during the ceremony, and Stella gave me dirty looks throughout the reception. When I approached them a while later, they were both short with me. My father, Stella, and Zoe left less than an hour into the reception. My father and Stella called me the next day and told me off for how I treated Zoe. This had been her first time making a wedding dress and had been excited to see me wearing it. They said it was insulting of me to not wear the dress she'd put so much effort into. I tried to explain why I hadn't worn the dress, but they're both insisting the dress was beautiful and I could have sucked it up. My husband and my younger sister, not Zoe, are on my side. I've been feeling guilty about this since I decided not to wear the dress. AITA? First comment, you can talk and explain to them until you are blue, but they are the types of people who are bullheaded and refuses to listen. So, I would sit down and write a letter addressed to all 3. This is the only way they will ever listen to you and get it in their heads. In your letter, outline everything you said in your op. I am writing this letter and addressing it to each of you because none of you would listen to my side of the story and the reasons why I didn't wear her dress. Go on to explain how you've agreed to her making your dress. You've asked her many times upon seeing each other about how the dress was coming along, only for her not to follow through. Upon getting the dress a whole month before the wedding, you told her straight up that you've decided you wouldn't be wearing the dress. You've told her exactly why. Then tick off everything you've said in the op. You've asked for a progress report several times and failed to get it. It wasn't the agreed upon style. It was 3 sizes too big. She had a whole month to come to terms with that decision. She used your wedding a whole month later to make it about her big disappointment. Address it and mail it. They may not say anything about it, but hopefully the letters will help them understand exactly what happened. The Sil did you dirty, and she shouldn't get away with it. I hope you are able to simmer down the animosity unfairly directed at you and restore peace. Congratulations on your nuptials, and here's to many happy years with your new hubby. Edited to add. I've been there before, where something happened that I was not at fault, but no one would listen to me. Everyone pointed a finger at me, made my life hell. So I wrote a letter and addressed it to all involved parties. It did eventually quell the animosity. Second comment, put on that oversized dress. Make no attempt to arrange it so that it looks like it fits you. Pose as if for a picture at your wedding. Stitch a picture of you in your fabulous, well-fitted dress at your wedding next to it. You may need several to focus in on how loose the custom dress was in different areas of your body. Now send the result to all of the butthurt complainers and ask just how much of their wedding day vision and happiness they would sacrifice to keep someone happy who went completely against the plan without communicating and didn't make the dress to the measurements you gave. Ask which they would have worn the dress that didn't fit and wasn't in the style color agreed upon, or B, a dress that actually fit and was almost exactly what you had asked for. Anyone who doesn't get the point can have their every opinion on literally anything going forward disregarded without bothering to give it more than half a moment of consideration. Kind of like they did with your feelings about how you wanted to look at your own dang wedding. Third comment, NTA but OP. Why did you agree to her making your dress in the first place? I don't mean to be funny, but 21, freshly graduated from fashion school, doesn't sound like the most reliable option to me. She has no professional experience whatsoever. You seem like a lovely person, wanting to bond with your stepsister, but wouldn't you do it over lunch, coffee, maybe invite her to dinner, but making your wedding dress for your big day? I'm not sure if that wasn't just too much. I would have proposed she design a garment, not a whole outfit for the reception maybe, or the wedding rehearsal dinner the night before, or maybe even said no. Getting family to do hair, cook food, make clothes, etc. can be dicey if you don't like it. It's all taken very personally, as you can see now. That being said, you need to grow a backbone here. I have no clue why you haven't reprimanded your father, Zoe, your stepmother, for how they treated you on your wedding day and how they're treating you now. So ideally, you would have worn an ill-fitting dress, whose cut, design, and style you hated just to appease them. Why are you tolerating their awful selfish behavior? Edit a previous version of my com. Fourth comment, NTA. You were the bride, essentially her client, even though she was not charging you, you weren't her model for a show. As such, your wishes, your input, had much greater importance than she gave them. I am intrigued what agree on a design means in this context. You discussed your ideas, revealed your style to her, and she has a different style. It sounds to me like in agreeing on a design, you may have partially compromised your ideas. Considering that Zoe had your measurements and failed to update you with pictures, and failed to produce your dress until a month before the wedding, I'm frankly surprised you didn't give in and go shopping for a backup alternate wedding dress sooner, just in case it wasn't finished in time. The fact you didn't do so until you saw the dress suggests trust and patience. And yet, despite the fact you'd agreed on a design, the dress she produced was the wrong color, the wrong style, and the wrong style. In other words, the dress that she produced wasn't your dress. Despite this, and despite the additional stress the dress situation presumably put you under, your response to Zoe seems to have been polite and kind. Now, in retrospect, it is a pity that you didn't clearly communicate to your father and Stella that alternative arrangements had been necessary in regards to the dress, and exactly why. Because it seems like they may have only had part of the story. Fifth comment, Zoe, when you offered to design my wedding dress, I was excited, and I thought it would be an opportunity for us to bond. When we got together in date to discuss the initial design, I told you I wanted X-long flowy mermaid with beads. I was aware that wasn't your typical design style, but you agreed on the design and I trusted that you would make the dress we had agreed upon for my wedding. I gave you my size measurements date. During the next Y months, I text you, email, phone call, provide dates. Asking about the progress and requesting pictures, you never sent me any. You never told me about any design changes. On date, you agreed that the dress would be ready by providing time for alterations. You didn't get the dress to me until 4 weeks before the wedding, much later than was agreed. At that point, I realized that the dress was nothing like I had asked for. In fact, it was short, baby doll with contrasting ruffles, and the measurements were significantly different from the ones I provided and far too large for my body. It wasn't the dress we had agreed on. It wasn't my style, and it didn't even fit. This meant I didn't have a choice but to find a wedding dress that fit, off the rack, 4 weeks before my wedding, an expense we weren't expecting and wasn't budgeted for. I informed you date X days after you delivered the dress that I wasn't going to be wearing the dress you made, and I told you why. I even offered to compensate you for the dress because I was aware of how much time and effort goes into hand-making a custom dress. I didn't even get mad at you. Perhaps that was a mistake because you don't seem to understand that it is inappropriate to make significant changes to a design without approval from the client, me. You were crying at my wedding about a situation that you had created, left early with your mother and my father, and the following day had your mother calling me attempting to tell me off and make me feel bad. I really don't appreciate you trying to make me the bad guy in a situation where you were clearly wrong. It was a lovely dress, but it wasn't the one we agreed on, and it wasn't even in my size. Your behavior was very unprofessional and hurtful. I truly hope you learn from this. I will be dropping off sending the dress to you, the parents. I don't want it. I want to be able to put this behind us and move on. Let me know when you are ready to apologize. I am willing to hear you out. Attach any texts or email with dates and times. Attach any images of the agreed design and the actual dress you in the dress holding all the extra material to show it doesn't fit. You could contact a seamstress and get a quote on how long it would take and how much it would cost to have had the dress rebuilt to fit. If you want to include something about GAT and how it might not have been possible in the time left anyway. You should also copy your father and her mother, and perhaps have a word with your dad about their behavior and where he stands in this. As well as how upset you are that he left your wedding reception after 1 hour.